Hey, it's Chris, Liege of Games, baby. Let's do this. Now, quick side note, before we talk about the 10 games that I have backed on crowdfunding that I am anticipating getting in 2022. I'm anticipating getting these. So a couple that you're thinking of already have already been crossed off the list. But as a side note, very quickly, it has been, from the day of filming this, 1,058 days since Onimaru funded. Still nothing for those backers. Now that we've got that side tangent taken care of, let's talk games that I cannot wait to get. Now, a couple big obvious ones, but I'm going to, always give you my Liege spin on things, so buckle up. But a few others that are sort of maybe under your radar since they finished funding, and since they maybe weren't even on the 2021 radar, they were even 2020 funders. So, now, no particular order, just 10 games that I am super pumped to get, and why. Let's do this. First up, let's just get a few of the honorable mentions off of the top 10, in case you guys are wondering. KDM, the Gambler's Chest, we're not going to get it in 2022. That is my Liege Stradamus prediction. Nope, not happening in 2022. Maybe at the beginning of 2023. Quarter 1 2023 is what I'm going to say. So if that's all you need to know about KDM, that's all you need to know about KDM. The Gambler's Chest, bigger than the core box, more extravagant than the core box, and probably going to cost more than the core box when it actually comes to retail, if it ever gets to that point. But that's a whole nother side tangent altogether. Honorable mention number 1. Second game that I don't think we're actually going to get in 2022. Trudvang Legends from CMON. Again, one of my most anticipated, most pleasurable, in terms of hopes, CMON games in general, of all of their games. And I don't think we're going to get it in 2022. I don't. I think it's going to reach delay after delay. They redid it from the ground up with this sort of Nordic mythic take on the port from the tabletop scene. I think it is a little bit too ambitious, and I think this bag building mechanism that they've gone with, that they had to just totally redo, is sort of sending them for a loop. But why do I think it's going to be good? Because if they wanted to put out a half-baked product, they wouldn't have restarted from the ground up. They could have just kept what they had and just sort of said, meh, here you go, shoot out the door. So that is why I'm very hopeful. I know I'm one of the few people, apparently, that is very hopeful. Like, everyone else, when I comment about Trudvang Legends, is like, oh, that thing's going to be crap. It's not even released. I think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be really good, and I will eat crow if I'm wrong when it comes out. But I don't think you're going to get it in 2022, but I thought I'd at least mention it here. One last one that you're not going to get in 2022, and that's Primal. You're not going to get Primal in 2022. The latest production has it, the very end of the year, like September, October, from like 1 or 2 updates ago, of when people are going to get it. Nope. Probably not going to happen. Again, I would totally be willing to eat crow and, be wrong on that side of things. I would love to have this before the end of the year. I don't think it's going to happen. Don't think it's going to happen, folks. Again, look for your Monster Hunter or something else like that. If Monster Hunter, I don't even know if Monster Hunter is going to be out by the end of the year, but that's the sort of thing that maybe you're getting instead, or in place of, or even in addition. I mean, again, I think this game is going to be fan-freaking-tastic. I think it's just going to be one of the best games out there. And you can say, yes, miniature is totally superfluous. Liege, you comment on that all the time, how you don't like that. Yeah, and I don't like it. But there are things I'm willing to make the exception for, and this was one of them. And the combo system, the fact I could read the whole rulebook and get a good sense of the gameplay and how it was going to play, and just everything that they showed up front. And again, the transparency about the pledge levels. I shouted this all 2020. I shouted this all 2021. Show me your pledge levels right from the get-go. I hate it when this little drag out play system of, we're just going to gradually show you expansion after expansion, even though we got the whole thing and the whole stretch goals, all 374 stretch goals mapped out. I don't like it. So I give some kudos to the transparency that went on with this one, and it just looks fun. Am I going to be able to get it to the table easily? No. But this is the game I'm willing to make the compromise of, because this is a game that's going to probably stay in my collection forever if it's really as good as I think it is. So there you go. 3 honorable mentions. Now let's get to game number 1 on the list. Game number 1. Actually, honorable mention number 4. Paint the Roses. Paint the Roses. Paint the Roses. Paint the Roses. This is a hard co-op game in lines of things that really aren't out there. And it's a puzzle game, and it's a cooperative experience, and you're just trying to avoid getting your head chopped off by the queen as she chases you through the garden as you're trying to rearrange the garden and rearrange it to her satisfaction. And it just looks awesome. And it's a deluxe. It's coming with expansion, and I'm, again, few and far between on this side of things in terms of expansions and deluxifications on Kickstarter or crowdfunding. but I really like it. So there you go. There's my honorable mentions. Now let's get to the top 10 of the games because if those guys weren't on the top 10, actually, you know what? This was more of the honorable mention that did not make the top 10. The others were honorable mentions that weren't even going to be in 2022. So I even confused myself here. That's how well things are going tonight for me. Okay, top 10. Boom. No particular order. Let's do this. Look. Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Speaking of Kingdom Death, this is probably the most look-alike, sound-alike, play-alike game to Kingdom Death monster that is out there. There's enough tabletop simulator, there's enough of the online virtual side of things, so people have gotten a taste of how the scenarios and the campaigns are going to sort of work and interact, but it's also got significantly different mechanics that are going to give it a little bit of a boost too, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier to get to the table than Kingdom Death Monster. And right now, it's more accessible, that's a whole nother issue. But I think you're going to have this by the end of 2022, and that's why I'm excited by this. This is a massive campaign, massive tactical situations, interchangeable parts, cards upon cards upon cards, tactics upon tactics upon tactics, and it just looks like a freaking fantastic game that's going to hit my KDM itch without having all the graphicness of KDM, hopefully, as well. So I am just super excited by this one. This isn't in any particular order, but this is definitely near the top of this list regardless. I went all in. You can see right now that my pledge was actually the $1 because I wasn't sure. And I upgraded fully in the pledge manager, and so I don't regret it one bit whatsoever. Just a lot of cycles, a lot of stuff. It's going to be awesome. Again, no regrets on this one. There's going to be probably a lot of demand for this one in the secondary market if it holds up to what it is expected to be at this point. Speaking of high expectations, let's just go straight over the other big one. This is Frosthaven. Frosthaven. Childress's, pet project. And now, obviously, being a little overshadowed right now with the announcement of miniatures of Gloomhaven or Frosthaven of Haven. But let's be clear, 83 freaking thousand backers for almost $13 million. This one is just going to blow things out of the water, and he holds things to a high standard, so I have a feeling that this one is going to exceed expectations, and that's saying something. I think there's going to be tricks and a little bit of everything in there, and for the $100 price point that it was to get it, I don't need the insert, I don't need the other stuff, I don't need the bling. Give me the game. Give me Gloomhaven on steroids with the criticisms addressed. The scenarios, the now I know how to play because I've played Jaws of the Lion, so the barrier to entry is not going to be there. I'm going to have someone make me a foam core insert. And so, that's the sort of thing that I'm going to be looking at. A little bit of everything. It's just everything Gloomhaven is and more and better, and he's taking the experiences from Gloomhaven, from Jaws of the Lion, and importing them into this to just make it better. And I love me some freaking sealed envelopes. Sealed stuff is an vastly underrated mechanism and component to board games. I have not met a game that I do not like. I didn't play Seafall, so thankfully I didn't. But apart from that, no game with those that I have not liked at all. So I am just super excited by this. Again, I didn't get the removable stickers. Removable stickers. Like I'm going to ever get around to playing this twice. Let alone only once. That's a joke. Anyway, but that's why this is also near the top of the list, just because, it's an experience. It's an experience at this point, riding the back of Gloomhaven in the first place, and you can't deny it. So there you go. Speaking of riding the back of its predecessor, Nemesis Lockdown. Now, this is debatable because I am, I believe, a one-wave ship. So I might actually not get this now that I think about this, but I'm going to throw it on the list anyway because I need to get me some Nemesis. I sold my original Nemesis bundle. I'm more excited for Lockdown. I think it's got a little bit different, mechanics, a little bit different mechanisms, and I think it's going to improve on the criticisms of the original Nemesis because they've had that much more time to do it. And for the price point, again, I don't talk about value being the end-all be-all on this thing, but if you think this is going to go for £95 with this huge stretch goal box on the secondary market, there's a reason I say if you're ever buying an Awakened Realms product, just buy the base because you'll more than make your money if you're really concerned about it. But this is just everything that you need, plus more. And, if you talk to the people who get Nemesis, the first one, the almost across the board recommendation of what to play with Nemesis. They're like, what expansion should I get? Should I get this? Should I play with this? Do I need the stretch goal? They're like, just play with the base game. It's actually better. You don't even need some of the expansions. Some of the expansions, people say, you know what? I like it without better. So I'm looking at this sort of like that. I mean, I didn't get anything, I think, but the stretch goals. I don't think I got any of the other expansions or whatever else was offered. I don't even think I needed it. I didn't get the original. I didn't get anything else. I didn't get Aftermath. I think I just went with straight up, boom, Nemesis and stretch goals. So again, it's going to fill a niche in my collection that isn't like anything else. So I'm excited about that side of things because I love me some Hidden Trader. I love me some hard co-op. And, you know, this list clearly reflects that too. So a Nemesis Lockdown, that is huge on this list from that side of things. And it's going to be fighting for table space as soon as I get it. Now, next up, this is, again, if you've heard me spout anything, this is probably one of my most played games of the year of 2021, Marvel United. And I'm at a point right now where I sold 3 of the expansions or traded them away. I've got one that I'm still trying to get rid of. I kept a couple of them. I kept obviously the stretch goal box, and I kept the Infinity Gauntlet, and I kept the Sinister Six, because I don't think all of these expansions were made equal, and I think it showed and it reflected, and I think sort of the same thing looked like it in here for me. The Apocalypse Pledge, I probably should have just gotten like 2 of these pledges. I probably looked at it and should have just gotten 2 of the Uncanny Pledges and said, you know what, I'll flip the second one and even flip part of the ones in here that I want. But, I'm staying true to my core. I bought not even the Uncanny Pledge, which I sort of regret now because I really wanted me some Old Man Logan, but I didn't want the Deadpool expansion or the Fantastic Four or the First Class. So I didn't get those 3. I got everything else. I got the blue, the gold, the Phoenix 5, and the Days of Future Past because it has this freaking Sentinel. But it's addressing all of the issues that I have with Marvel United in the first place. Okay, I can't play as the villains. Okay, I can now play as the villains with the little purple guys. Okay, the heroes aren't unique enough. Okay, we're going to give heroes all of their sort of unique powers that you can play with them. Oh, we're going to give you a whole freaking ton of metric of stretch goals that are going to be in the box. Oh, that's awesome because if you're like me, even if you've played it 30 plus times, you probably haven't even played through all of the villains because you've played them multiple times because some of them are actually freaking difficult. If you think this is a kid's game that is super easy, you clearly have not played some of the bad guys. You just haven't. Now, again, the randomness and the take that ish between, you know, you and the enemies and just the pure, you get an SOL'd, you know, it happens. But it also, you can play it 3 times in an hour. So, you know what? So what? It's a great step up. I can play it with my kids. I can play it with my gamer group. I can play it with my casual group. It works. And they got some cool characters here. I mean, the X-Force expansion that you're going to be getting alongside of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse expansion is just freaking fantastic. I think those are going to be by far the standouts. The Days of the Future Past, I think, is going to be awesome too. The blue gold team, which gives you the option to go head to head, is going to be another, just set it apart. It's going to give you all these different modes, and it's going to be probably one of my most played games of 2022 if it actually shows up before halfway through the year. So again, I probably regret not trying to scalp and being one of those people on the secondary market. At the same time, I don't really give a flying flute, you know, if you are. I'm probably going to try and buy a Hero Old Man Logan off of somebody as a solo, because inevitably someone sells those solos. Because actually, you know, Adam Warlock from the first one, which was like the all-in one from that one, I really like Adam Warlock. He's freaking fantastic. So if Old Man Logan is anything like Adam Warlock, man, I am in. And the Phoenix 5 is cool because that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, that is, again, super high on my list because this is going to be super easy to get to the table because everyone already knows it and everyone enjoys it. So there you go. One that you may have thought of and may not have thought of as well is Freedom 5. This is sort of the hard cooperative board game version of Sentinel Tactics or Sentinel, you know, of the Multiverse. And I did not get the miniature version. I got the standee version. It's just the comics version of a hard co-op, like Pandemic-esque, only with powers and asymmetry and card play and just a fantastic looking core of things. And this was right before I started the channel, and I just could not get over the fact that this is like right up my alley. This is just something that ticks all of the boxes for me. I loved the idea of Sentinels of the Multiverse when I first got into this hobby, and then I played it. Right? And I was like, this is kind of underwhelming. Like, it's kind of just like draw a card, play a card. And I was not terribly interested in it, and it sort of played itself at some points. The options and the actions became relatively straightforward, and it really wasn't, you know, it was either too difficult or way too easy and not enough control. And so I love this game. I didn't get any of the upgrades. I didn't do any of the deluxes. I did the standees. I'm pretty sure I got this pledge because, again, if you missed my viewer email number 2 from this past week or so, I debated, you know, why don't more games have these acrylic standees? Vagrant Song, this game, I think you're going to see it across the board. I think you need to see it because it's going to be a better price point. It's a price that this hobby can afford without the plastic, without the overhead, without the unwasted space or materials being used up. And it can help some of that, you know, cost inflation that we're seeing too. So I think more projects need to adapt to this. And so I support it, even though I am the minority on a lot of these projects, I still will do it. And so just everything with this is going to be awesome. And again, it is something a step up from even Marvel United with a few more things, but also not being too complicated. I just couldn't pass on it. So that's why I'm super interested in it from, you know, that side of things, because, you know, you're seeing a theme between these games. Yeah, right. Okay, there you go. Speaking of that, we'll just go straight into the next one. I have a type. It's not blonde, it's not Asian, it's not brunettes, it's hard co-ops. And so this one from Japanime Games, again, cards on the table. Japanime Games has had a lot of Kickstarters, and a lot of them have not been very appealing. A lot of them have had the sort of sense of, why am I getting this now? And not a whole lot of incentive. But this one was one that I said, you know what, I'm willing to back it. And because a lot of the Japanime games have not gone to wide retail or have been a little bit harder to get even. And this one, again, has a slightly different twist. And this one, again, was not a unknown. I mean, this doesn't mean a lot to probably a lot of you. The Tokyo Game Market Award winner. There are a lot of very fantastic, completely under the radar games that never get noticed from the Tokyo Game Market that other people espouse on all the time. And the Japanese indie designers are doing some amazing creative things over there. One of my favorite only area control games in my collection, I believe, was one of the market award winners from years ago of Rumble Nation. And this is just along those lines. They're just porting it over. It's not going to be a drastically different game. And the reviews on it are really pretty good. And this is the map. Like Pandemic on steroids, right? Only, again, with heroes, with abilities, with additional scenarios and expansions, and the cards that you're going to be having to play to sort of do it again in a completely different way than any of those other games on the list. Oh, look, standees! Boom! Liege is all over that. You know, how do you get Liege attracted to your project at this point? You offer standees, you make it a hard co-op, and then he's going to be really hard pressed to avoid you. I mean, those are like catnip apparently for me. So, yeah, it's in the process. It'd probably be sometime in the Q1-ish, but this is one I think that's going to fly under a lot of radars, and I think people are going to be excited by this. But again, that's kind of cool looking, right? Acrylic standees that look that good. I don't even need to worry about plastic chunks of plastic sitting on my table. But this is, again, going to be right up my ilk, and you're noticing a theme because there is a theme between these games. So there you go. Next up, something that is a little bit of a departure, and most of you probably aren't going to be familiar with this one. This one was from a French game designer, and I think a lot of people that I commented about this with when I was talking about this one, either online, I don't remember, I think this one was right around the time I started the channel, I can't remember exactly, but this one reminded me of a slightly more complicated, like, Hive, or even Talk with Powers, if you will, where you're moving these little guys that are asymmetric. You each have the same, like, 12 different heroes on each side, but how you use them, and they degrade over time. So, like, after a certain number of turns, they just are dead, but then you can go and pick up their bodies and get their powers for the second character. So your second character, even though they're time limited, they get their time and their health extended, but they also get a second power. So the combination of those powers that you want to pick up as you're going, and it's a little bit of area control, and the aesthetic is just slim and chic and minimalistic, which, again, I am a huge fan of minimalistic. I mean, look at the t-shirt I'm wearing. I mean, this is my type of t-shirt, right? This is from Acquisitions Incorporated, by the way, in case you're wondering. Penny Arcade. And so this is sort of my ilk. And the board changes, and you can go different ways. And again, it's just looking something different. A lot of people, I think, had concerns because I think this was a first-time creator when I'm looking on the page itself, Gravity Games. Yeah, first created. So a lot of people like put, right, whoa, it's a red flag. There are a lot of first-time creators, guys, and this thing was the whole package. And I should be having this early in Q1, I think. They've got their website up. I mean, this is just cool. No life points, no rolling to damage. It's just your shields are either oriented the right way and you block it or you don't. You decay. And the art, again, is minimalistically fantastic. Look at this. Look at this setup. This is cool. This is sleek. this doesn't need huge plastic chunks of plastic, because I'm now going to say it like that every time because, you know, it's funnier that way. It's another added to the Liegeism list. And again, it just is nice. I didn't get all of the additional stuff. I didn't need all of like the super extra stuff because, I mean, there's, you know, already like 12 and I don't need a limited edition, you know, art book signed. But again, this one is going to go under the radar, I think, and it's going to be super quality. And it didn't fund for a whole lot. It only funded for, what? Let's see. 88,000 euros. So I could see this one surprising a lot of people too. And you know, me at this point too, I love me some abstract. And this is abstract with the asymmetrical abilities. So again, checking the box for what Liege likes. So there you go. Next up, me and James Hudson. James Hudson, if you ever watch my videos, I don't think you do, but I'll talk to you about this one because you're going to be in my other video, James Hudson, as well. We're talking about that one when I talk about upcoming crowdfunding games I love in 2022 that I'm super excited about. But anyway, this is another James Hudson. This is actually from Druid City Games. And so this one is a little bit of area control, but it's a little bit of like bag building and Wonderland's War. Now, again, I did the retail edition with the premium chips because premium chips, I think, cannot be discounted about how much they make a difference of. Even if you talk about something like Bullet or Too Many Bones, yes, you're going to pay a premium price, but I didn't need the miniatures on this. The chips were more than enough. And this just has all the fantastic stylings of a game that is going to be absolutely unlike anything else and just going to be completely different. And the Wonderland theme is just wonderfully incorporated. The art is fantastic in this. I am not a big fan of Wonderland, but look at these leader standees. Again, standees! I swear I don't have a type. I have a type. I totally have a type. Again, this is going to be something cool. This is going to be something unique. This is going to be something you pull out and people are like, whoa. Like the aesthetic, everything else. But I didn't need the miniatures. So, I mean, look at these wooden meeples. Between the wooden meeples and the standees, I think they look better than me having huge chunks of like gray plastic like this that aren't going to be colored, right? So me personally, the aesthetic does wonders, and you could basically customize whatever pledge level you wanted. So I got the pledge level that I wanted with the premium chips add-on. So very happy with that. Very, very pleased. I think it's going to be a tremendous game. This one is going to, again, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people. When this comes out, this one's going to be in high demand. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a reprint of this. So again, super high on the list. I have no clue when in 2022, but I am just going to eagerly anticipate whenever it shows up on my door, because if you're like me and you just crowdfund, you fill out the pledge manager and you forget until it shows up on the doorstep. So there you go. Okay, we got two more. So one you're going to recognize, one you're going to really recognize. So the first one, Fall of the Mountain King. Now, again, I was not and am not a big area control person. Ever since I tried this one with Burnt Island Games, I just did like one like sample round on Tabletop Simulator. My first ever Tabletop Simulator ever. And it does area control in a different way. And it's sort of like area control where it's good to get your guys taken out. You get benefited for defending and dying. Sort of like the Valhalla expansion for Champions of Midgard. And it just does something in a completely twisted way of the Fall of the Mountain King, because you know you're going to lose. This is the prelude to the Hall of the Mountain King, where you're losing it and you know you're going to lose it, and it's just how you're going to lose it and maximizing your points when you lose it. And I was not convinced. I watched and watched and watched, and I thought and thought and thought, and this tableau that you're building right here, this little puzzle, is super cool. Not seen anything else like it out there. Kept me really thinking about it even after I stopped. And how you get these champions as well, and how they give you the ability to interact and manipulate the board in the first place, made it really awesome as well, that I just couldn't get out of my head. The tipping point for me, I'm not a huge miniature person, you know that by if you've watched any of the rest of this video, but the other thing that I looked at that is with these games, Burnt Island Games has a lot of these miniature expansions that are included, and so you're almost, again, always getting a great value. So if you want to get it, this is going to be the best place to get it. Between me loving those little puzzles that they put out there with both of those elements, and getting a couple of these mini expansions, new champion, don't care about that, don't care about that, don't care about that. We'll get down to them about here at the bottom, wherever they are. Anyway, here you go, River of Fire, and we'll find it here. Whatever. But those extra things are going to make it worthwhile. And so again, I hate doing this, and I don't do it because I don't do it. Otherwise, I would have done it with Marvel United X-Men. I could sell this and easily make money. No questions about it. Gameplay was solid from the first get-go. No questions about the gameplay standpoint. It's just whether or not you're going to be liking it, not whether or not it's a good game. It's going to be a tremendous game. So there you go. Last one up, but not least. Let me be clear. This is not least because most of you are going to recognize this one, and that's Oathsworn. Oathsworn, Oathsworn, Oathsworn. Guess what pledge level I got? I can't even make it into a joke. I got the standee version. I love maybe some mystery boxes, but I don't really want to pay an extra like $70 or $80 for miniatures versus standees at this point. Because again, space, time, money. I have plenty of money. I have plenty of space, even though, you know, I really need to get rid of stuff because I'm not a collector and I really don't want to have like a whole room dedicated to, you know, floor to ceiling. But I want to get other stuff. I want to make a game more deluxe, or I want to get a game that is going to hit the table more. And so there's no difference, and it's going to be easier for me to get to the table if it has standees. It just is. It's going to be easier to tear down and set up. And again, this one is super, super up my hard dungeon crawl-esque story, campaign-driven, multi-ability, card-driven battling with a story. So... and you know, again, the little switching out of the arms with the weapons, and that did nothing for me. Did nothing for me. I'm completely okay with it. I understand it's a cool little gimmick, but did nothing for me. So I went with the standees. But I think this is again going to be another campaign contender for right up there with Aeon, Trespass Odyssey, and Frosthaven for wow, what a year of 2022 for dungeon crawl-esque games. Like especially, you know, I again, the other one I didn't include on this list because I don't think we're going to get it in 2022 is Madara, Acts 2 and 3. But can you imagine having all 4 of those games? It's not like I ordered all 4 of them. I totally am getting all of them. I'm never going to any of them played. Anyway, so yeah, this is going to be just awesome. Oathsworn is one that is super high on people's lists, and it's super high on my list too because, again, it's doing something in a completely different way than all of the other stuff on this list. And the iterations that are out there and the delineations. I mean, this is why you back stuff, because it's new, it's different. It takes previous predecessors' accomplishments, it tweaks them, it modifies them, improves them in different ways than you would never expect. It stands on their shoulders, and it gives you a great new product, and that's what I love seeing about this, and that's why I had to back it as well. Okay, that's it. Those are my 10 plus 2 or 3 or 4. Anyway, so that's my most anticipated Kickstarters that I'm expecting to arrive in 2022. Now, obviously, there were some smaller ones, and you know, this was like the big giant one. So I might just do like a whole nother video of like small indie games I'm expecting to get, or small indie games that make me super excited, and I would like to see at retail, or you know, get a copy of, you know, as well along these lines, either that I backed or didn't back. So I might do just a separate video along on that side of things. And in the next week or two, I will have my most anticipated crowdfunding games launching in 2022. Now, again, that's going to be a weird list because there's not a whole lot out past, you know, January, February right now. Like I have a couple like March and then like a few scattered like Q3, but there's very little info much further out. People are holding it, at least seems like, much closer to the vest, or maybe they're just not as broadcasting widely in terms of all the unknowns between GameFound and Kickstarter and shipping. Maybe they're just kind of waiting it out to see kind of where it falls, because again, the shipping thing I know people are concerned about, and it's true. So anyway, what am I missing? Again, obviously there were a couple on this list that I could have included further. I could have made it much bigger and much longer, but I decided not to, because you guys deserve to have time to watch other people's stuff too. So go check out other people's stuff too. And if you're not already subscribed, that'd be super awesome. But I'd also love to reach 10,000 by the end of 2022. That's just me. Anyway, so thank you. Stay classy. Have a great day. Hopefully you're having a great holiday week, and play some games. Get some new stuff played. There you go. See you later. And it does say Imagine a Dark t-shirt, by the way. It's a Penny Arcade Acquisitions Incorporated thing, so go look it up. You know, I'd love to play board games with Gabe and Tycho. With those guys. The Penny Arcade guys. Jerry. Mike. You know, you guys ever watch my stuff? I doubt it, but I interacted with them. I've interacted with them once or twice on Twitter. Yeah. They do a lot of video game stuff, though, so I wish they'd do some board game stuff. I would be, like, dreamless just to interview them and talk about games and stuff. One of these days. One of these days. One of these days. Okay. That's all I got. No cats in here this time. No surprise cats.